Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. This is Rob. This video, we're going to continue the 30 for 30 series. And if you saw the live stream that I had this past Friday, or if you were there, you know that I tried to record a couple of my 30 for 30 videos during that stream. And unfortunately, excuse me, it was almost impossible because of all the running jokes and gags that were going on during that stream. It was a fantastic stream. There is a highlighted version of exactly what went on during that live stream, and it's called Godzilla Fans Gone Wild, and how Godzilla fans love Cotton. So there was just a whole joke that started behind that. Everybody started getting into it, and it was really funny. So I have to re-record these videos again. And this video, we're going to talk about the Legendary Era, for lack of a better term. And the Legendary era is kind of the nickname some of us fans have given to this next iteration of Godzilla movies. And we all know the Legendary Era probably started in 2009, realistically, which is when we started hearing whispers in the wind of a Godzilla movie, another American Godzilla movie coming in. And looking at the Legendary Era, we see now that Legendary has established their own universe. And it's funny, you know, a lot of people say, well, this is the thing now. This is what Marvel started. But as much as I love Marvel, I cannot give them credit for starting the universe trend. I mean, this is something that Godzilla started way, way long ago. And while some of the Godzilla movies are not as connected, obviously, as some of the Marvel movies, all these monsters that were created by Toho, all these kaiju, they all exist in the same universe. They've all faced off multiple times. You know, I think it would have been nice at some point to have other monster movies that had these monsters facing each other. I mean, could you imagine a movie like Gigan versus Ghidorah? You know, the battle of the monster alien, something like that would have been really cool during that time. But, you know, Godzilla has always been the big draw. Godzilla is like the Batman for Toho. No matter how many bad movies you make, as long as you got Godzilla to rely on, he's going to bring money in at the box office, right? And yes, we know that hasn't always been consistently true, but a good majority of his movies were very profitable. Now, we go into the Legendary Era, and we see that this is kind of like repeating itself. You know, we have this universe being recreated in the vision of Legendary, and obviously Gareth Edwards with the first movie, now Michael Dougherty with this movie, and then whatever we get down the line after Godzilla vs. Kong. And, you know, a lot of these videos I've been doing, the last few, obviously the 10-year gap I've done before this one, you know, these all kind of echo each other in a sense of the importance and the relevance of Godzilla now, you know, thanks to Legendary. And one of the things I spoke about on stream that I'm going to do here as well, and I can't remember what I said word for word, so I'm paraphrasing, but I kind of just wanted to give a shout out to Legendary Studios and that production team, and the team just working so hard on taking this series very seriously, because they've done a fantastic job. I think that they have taken a lot of care to create these monsters and modernize them. I think that Gareth Edwards, while he was very much criticized a lot for the movie, you know, from a lot of hardcore fans, I do think he took the best approach he could. He came in with Godzilla and he took him very seriously. He was very safe, which I don't consider that a bad criticism. I think you have to be safe. You know, general fans look at kaiju movies here as an entertainment romp for the moment. You know, it's not something that they can see sustain. It's not something that they want to watch all the time, or it's something that they consider cheesy. So knowing that the last American Godzilla movie to the general audience was Godzilla 98, which even the general audience would not recognize that as a Godzilla, it's a very, very touchy, sensitive, walk on eggshells type of thing to bring him back to the mainstream of the general audience. So I think Gareth did a good job slowly introducing him back to general audiences. And I know this didn't please a lot of Godzilla fans, hardcore fans, but I think he did the right thing. You know, if you go back that year, there was a WonderCon recording that he had with a fan, and the fan asked him, are you going to make the Godzilla movie that fans want? And he said, or that fans are going to like, do you think your fans, something like that, I'm paraphrasing. And he said, I want to make a Godzilla movie that everyone's going to enjoy. And that right there tells you that he was not aiming at the hardcore fans, because he knew he would have them. He knew that no matter what, they were going to show up. And he was probably well aware that some of them, or at least half of them, wouldn't like the movie. The important thing is, and I think this is the approach for a lot of directors and studios, when they touch something that has a hardcore fan base and they're going to recreate it or reimagine it, they want to go in there with the goal of winning at least half the hardcore fans, but pleasing the general audience. Because at the end of the day, no matter how big a hardcore fan base is, the general audience is always going to bring in the money. I think the only exception to that rule at this point would probably be Marvel movies. I think they've established themselves well enough that everybody trusts the Marvel name. They know that if they go see a Marvel movie, they're going to be entertained one way or the other. Even if they're not caught up with the whole storyline that has been built, they know that they can at any point. And then the other series would probably, I would still say Star Wars, despite its troubles right now. I would still say Star Wars has a big enough hardcore fan base to carry them, but it also has a big enough hardcore fan base to bury them. And we're seeing that with Star Wars right now. They're struggling a little bit. Han didn't do too well, and as good as good as The Last Jedi did in the box office, I know that their DVD sales struggled, and their fall off was pretty hard after their initial release. So there are areas where hardcore fan bases can carry a franchise, but not kaiju. Kaiju is a very, very niche genre that it's difficult to sustain because of movies where you have monsters that don't really talk. They're supposed to be the main focus on one hand, but at the same time, it's a challenge to get the audience to connect with them, and you really have to do a good job of showing the monsters' feelings and emotions through their actions. And this is why Suimation was so good back in the day, because at that time, special effects, that was like top notch. But it's also why Suimation kind of tapered off towards now, because you cannot show that kind of expression in a suit that you would doing CGI and motion capture. And motion capture is the new Suimation, and it's a better Suimation. And I don't mean that from a presentation on screen, okay? What I mean by that is when you look back to all the actors in those kaiju movies that were in those suits, the exhaustion, the dehydration, moments of accidents. I mentioned in one of my other 30 for 30 videos, one of the Japanese actors who was in the Rodan suit and how he fell into the water and nearly drowned in the suit. Where now, with motion capture, you can essentially do the same thing. Your body has more freedom to move around, and you don't have to wear such bulky equipment other than a head cam or a headpiece that would display what maybe your head might look like in the CGI with the green screen and all that. And then little sensors that take your movement. And then you have these great actors that come in that know how to move like a certain monster, or they create their own movement for, let's say, for example, like monsters in Godzilla in the Godzilla 2014, Godzilla King of the Monsters. Obviously, they have to make different movements, subtle differences to show that this monster is unique. And that's what I mean when I say that expressing the monster through their movement, through their facial expressions now is so much easier than it used to be. And that makes it easier for the audience to gravitate towards the monster and kind of get an understanding of what the monster's saying and maybe possibly make a connection with them. And that is very important. That is so important right now, and I think it's something that people don't realize, a lot of people take for granted. But if you can get an audience to connect with a kaiju like Godzilla or Mothra or Ghidorah, then that's a huge win. Because then that's what builds the fan. That's like, oh man, Godzilla's so cool, and he's just so awesome, and all these things he does. So, Godzilla 2014 showed what can be done at the next level, and it's only going further now. Now we see with all these trailers and TV spots, and all of us will soon be able to find out in the next coming days exactly just how much further they're going to try and go with this. Because as I said, if they can manage to build a connection with the general audience through these monsters, through their actions and their expressions and the things they do, that can mean a lot for the sustainability of the kaiju genre. And that's what I'm excited to see. It's like when I saw the 5-minute IMAX trailer. You know, there was a scene where Godzilla comes up and he gives Ghidorah this look, and you can just tell by the look on his face that he's like, you. Like, you know, these guys know each other. And yes, we know that, but you see it on his face. He's saying it. He's telling you through his expression. And if that's the kind of movie Mike Doherty has made, the whole movie, if that's what we can expect to see from these kaiju, those kinds of expressions, then I think we have a big winner on our hands. So, and we'll just have to see. So, Legendary Era, I think they've done a great job. It's obviously unofficially the Legendary Era, but that's what we're calling it. And I think they've got some things that are planned. Whether or not we get an opportunity to see that play out after Godzilla vs. Kong remains to be seen. But I'm very optimistic about the future, and I think Legendary Era will definitely go down as, I don't want to sit here and debate about best or worst or whatever, but I definitely think it's going to go down as one of the defining moments in the kaiju genre altogether. So we'll have to see. Anyway, guys, that's it for this video. This is Rob signing off for E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy.
Thank you for watching E.T.N. Click here to watch more content. Don't forget to leave a comment. Also, make sure you like and share this video. If you want to know when the next video is up, click the notification bell next to the subscribe button. And most of all, make sure to click that subscribe button for regular content.